What if I told you that the technology you're using right now to watch this video exists because of a bunch of failed inventions that nobody uses anymore? That's right. Some of the most important technologies in human history are sitting in museums, gathering dust in attics, or completely forgotten. But here's the twist. Without these so-called obsolete technologies, our modern world simply wouldn't exist. Welcome back to The Curious Route, where we explore the fascinating stories behind the things that shaped our world. Today, we're diving into the incredible legacy of technologies that seemed destined for the trash heap, but ended up changing everything. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at your smartphone the same way again. Let's start with something that might blow your mind. That computer or phone you're watching this on? It owes its existence to a room-sized monster called ENIAC. Built in 1946, ENIAC was one of the first general-purpose electronic computers, and it was absolutely massive, weighing 30 tons and taking up 1,800 square feet. To put that in perspective, your smartphone has more computing power than this technological giant that required an entire building to house it. But here's what's fascinating about ENIAC. It wasn't designed to browse the internet or play games. It was built to calculate artillery firing tables for the U.S. Army. The programmers, who were actually 6 brilliant women, including Betty Snyder and Marlin Westkoff, had to physically rewire the machine for each new calculation. Imagine having to reconstruct your entire computer every time you wanted to run a different app. ENIAC became obsolete within a decade, replaced by smaller, faster machines. But without ENIAC's groundbreaking architecture and the programming concepts it established, we never would have developed the microprocessors that power everything from your coffee maker to the International Space Station. Now, let's talk about something that literally connected the world before the internet existed: the telegraph. In the 1840s, Samuel Morse's telegraph system was nothing short of magical. Messages that once took weeks to deliver by horseback could suddenly travel across continents in minutes. The famous message, "What hath God wrought?" sent from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore in 1844, marked the beginning of the information age. The telegraph created the world's first global communication network. By 1866, a transatlantic cable connected Europe and America, making international business and diplomacy possible in ways never imagined before. Stock markets could respond to events happening thousands of miles away. Newspapers could report breaking news from around the world. The telegraph literally shrank the planet. But here's the kicker. The telegraph also created something we take for granted today: standardized time zones. Before telegraphs, every town kept its own local time based on the sun's position. But when you're coordinating train schedules and business deals across vast distances via telegraph, you need everyone to be on the same clock. The telegraph forced the world to synchronize, creating the global time system we still use today. Of course, the telegraph became obsolete with the invention of the telephone, radio, and eventually the internet. But its impact on how we think about communication, global connectivity, and even time itself shaped the foundation for every communication technology that followed. Speaking of communication, let's dive into something that revolutionized how we capture and preserve memories: the daguerreotype. Invented by Louis Daguerre in 1839, this was the world's first commercially successful photographic process. Before daguerreotypes, if you wanted to preserve someone's image, you needed to hire a skilled artist to paint a portrait, something only the wealthy could afford. The daguerreotype democratized image-making. Suddenly, ordinary people could have their portraits taken for a fraction of the cost of a painting. These early photographs required subjects to sit perfectly still for several minutes, which is why people in old photos look so serious. They weren't being stoic, they were trying not to blur the image. But daguerreotypes did something more profound than just make portraits affordable. They changed how humans understood reality itself. For the first time in history, we had a mechanical process that could capture exactly what the eye sees. This wasn't an artist's interpretation, this was reality frozen in time. The Daguerreotype laid the groundwork for photojournalism, scientific documentation, criminal identification, and even space exploration photography. The process became obsolete within decades, replaced by faster and more flexible photographic methods. But without the Daguerreotype proving that mechanical image capture was possible, we never would have developed film, digital cameras, or the billions of photos shared on social media every day. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Let's talk about a technology that was so revolutionary it actually scared people: the printing press. When Johannes Gutenberg introduced movable type printing to Europe around 1440, it wasn't just a new way to make books. It was a weapon of mass education that terrified the established powers. Before the printing press, books were hand-copied by scribes, making them incredibly expensive and rare. The Catholic Church and nobility controlled most written knowledge because they controlled who could afford books. A single Bible cost as much as a house. But Gutenberg's press changed everything virtually overnight. Suddenly, books became affordable. Ideas could spread like wildfire. Martin Luther's 95 Theses, which sparked the Protestant Reformation, were printed and distributed across Europe in a matter of weeks. The printing press didn't just spread existing knowledge. It created an explosion of new ideas because more people could access information and contribute their own thoughts. The printing press enabled the scientific revolution, the Renaissance, and eventually the Enlightenment. It made public education possible by making textbooks affordable. It standardized languages and spelling. It even contributed to the rise of democracy by making it possible for ordinary citizens to stay informed about political issues. While we might consider traditional printing presses obsolete in our digital age, their impact on human civilization is immeasurable. Every book, newspaper, and even this YouTube video exists because Gutenberg proved that knowledge could be mass-produced and democratically distributed. But let's talk about something that literally moved civilization forward: the steam engine. James Watt's improvements to the steam engine in the 1760s didn't just power the Industrial Revolution. They fundamentally changed humanity's relationship with energy and distance. Before steam power, human civilization was limited by muscle power: human muscle, animal muscle, and the occasional windmill or water wheel. The steam engine broke those limitations. Suddenly, humans could generate massive amounts of mechanical power anywhere they could build a fire and find water. Steam engines powered the first factories, enabling mass production. They powered steamships, making global trade faster and more reliable. They powered locomotives, connecting distant cities and enabling the settlement of vast continents. The American West was won not just by cowboys and pioneers, but by steam-powered trains that could carry supplies and people across thousands of miles. The steam engine created our modern concept of schedules and timetables. When your transportation depends on wind and weather, you travel when conditions are right. But steam engines could run on schedule, rain, or shine. This predictability enabled complex industrial processes and business relationships that required precise timing. Steam engines became largely obsolete with the development of internal combustion engines and electric motors. But they established the principles of mechanical power generation that led to every engine technology we use today. They proved that humans weren't limited to the energy sources nature provided. We could create our own power. Here's something that might surprise you. One of the most important obsolete technologies never actually worked very well, but it changed how we think about everything. I'm talking about alchemy, the medieval quest to turn base metals into gold. Alchemists were completely wrong about being able to transmute metals, but their methods laid the foundation for modern chemistry. They developed distillation, crystallization, and purification techniques still used in laboratories today. They created the first systematic approaches to experimentation and documentation of results. More importantly, alchemy established the idea that natural processes could be understood, controlled, and improved through human intervention. This philosophical shift from accepting nature as unchangeable to believing humans could master and modify natural processes became the foundation of all modern science and technology. Even though alchemy's specific goals were impossible, the mindset it created, that careful observation and experimentation, could unlock nature's secrets, led directly to the scientific method that gave us everything from antibiotics to space travel. But perhaps the most fascinating obsolete technology is one that seems almost primitive today: the abacus. Used for thousands of years across many cultures, the abacus was humanity's first computing device. And while it might seem laughably simple compared to modern calculators, the abacus taught us something crucial about computation and abstract thinking. The abacus proved that complex mathematical operations could be broken down into simple, systematic steps. This concept of algorithmic thinking, solving complex problems through sequences of simple operations, is the fundamental principle behind every computer program ever written. Even more importantly, the abacus demonstrated that mathematical concepts could be physically manipulated. Numbers weren't just abstract ideas. They could be represented by physical objects and processed through mechanical operations. This insight eventually led to mechanical calculators, then electronic computers, and ultimately to the digital world we live in today. What's truly remarkable about all these obsolete technologies is how they didn't just solve the problems of their time. They created new ways of thinking that made future innovations possible. The telegraph taught us that information could travel faster than people. The printing press showed us that knowledge could be democratized. The steam engine proved that human power wasn't limited by biology. Each obsolete technology was a stepping stone to something greater. So the next time you use your smartphone, remember ENIAC. When you take a photo, think about the Daguerreotype. When you read a book or watch this video, thank Gutenberg's printing press. These failed technologies didn't disappear. They transformed into the foundation of our modern world. The most important lesson here isn't just about technological progress. It's about how innovation really works. Every breakthrough technology eventually becomes obsolete, but its impact echoes through history. The technologies we consider cutting edge today will someday seem as primitive as steam engines seem to us now. But they'll form the foundation for innovations we can't even imagine yet. That's the beautiful paradox of human innovation. We build the future by standing on the shoulders of the past. Every obsolete technology that shaped our world is still with us, embedded in the DNA of progress itself. Thanks for joining me on the Curious Route today. If this exploration of technological evolution fascinated you as much as it did me, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell.